All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Attorney Michael Hollins, and I'm here today with an author and financial money coach, Mr. Dakota Grady. Mr. Grady, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity, Michael, for this conversation about debt, which is something that's very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is one of those conversations, one of those things that we don't necessarily like to talk about, but it's important that we do.
It's true.
So, do you have, sometimes people have a theory about debt, and of course we can't talk about debt without talking about money. And I know you are the money coach, so I know you got a lot to say about money. But I was going to ask you, do you have any philosophies around debt in general that you would like to share or give us some insight into?
Well, let me tell you a little about my background. I mean, I grew up on welfare. Mom and dad have 7 children. Yes, I said 7 children. And we were part of well, you may have heard of the Brady Bunch back in the day. Well, we're the Grady Bunch because my last name is Grady. And people just call us the Grady Bunch growing up. So there it is. But we grew up struggling, and my mom and dad didn't teach me how to handle money, but that was something that was a gift that I had, and been coaching people since 2010 on a part-time basis. But debt is something that I used to have a credit card back in the day when I was working for a debt buyer. For 3 years, I worked for a company in South Carolina, an RT collection agency. So people call you when you don't pay your bills. I
Yeah.
did it for 3 years, and I actually had a credit card I was using to use for my travel expenses. I would travel and get reimbursed. I'll pay my credit card off every time I got reimbursed. So I didn't like having debt, although I used debt. Then I heard about just basically trying cash. That was 2007 or 8. And since then, I haven't used any debt. Like, I don't believe in debt. So when I got married, though, my wife had debt. So her debt became my debt. Just when you get married, you become one. Yes, I said
Yeah.
that too. And we paid off. We paid off not her debt, our debt. We paid about $20,000 of debt, and we've been staying debt free since then. Things come up, and we just so, for example, may have to go to the doctor, may get another bill, pay it off, just continue to stay debt free. So my philosophy is to live debt free as much as possible. Like, I don't even own one credit card. Oh, and hold on, of course, of course, that's right. I can live debt free without having a credit card. You can also rent a car, get a hotel, buy cars with cash. That is. So the only debt I believe in, honestly, is debt for a home. And if you are
Okay.
fortunate to buy a house with cash, I applaud you. But I only believe in debt for a house, and beyond that, live debt free.
Okay. Okay. That's good. And that's encouraging. I didn't know you could do all that with just cash. You know,
I mean,
you
something dawned on me. The game Monopoly used cash to buy. If you remember the game, for those who don't know, it's a board game called
yeah.
Monopoly. You basically, well, I don't know about the new version of it, but the version back in the day, you would basically
Hmm.
have money to pay for properties such as houses, hotels, utilities, railroads. They
Yeah.
did not have debt on there, not that I can recall.
That's
You had
true.
to buy properties with cash. You
Yeah.
had to buy utilities with cash. You had to pay to get out of jail with cash.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, what a thought. But now everybody wants to borrow money to buy houses, to have rental properties. It's fine to buy a house with debt as long as your goal is to get out of debt instead of debt. That's the good thing. But I think that because we want things now, we don't want to wait for them, and we want to
Yeah.
build wealth, which is good. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you have
Yeah.
a lot of debt and say you get a piece of property, right, and you don't have somebody paying your mortgage for you, meaning you don't have a tenant in your rental. Well, who's
Yeah.
going to pay that bill? You are, right? If no one in that,
That's true.
no one is in that apartment or that house that you have as a rental property, who's going to pay that bill when it's vacant? You are. So what if you have your own mortgage on your home and you have a rental property with debt? And say again, if that property is vacant, you have two mortgages, right? Two mortgages. But what if you thought about paying off your house and then saving up cash to buy a rental property? Because once you have that property and it's vacant, you don't have any payments. The only thing you have to pay for is your property taxes, and that's it.
Yeah.
Opposed to paying property taxes and the mortgage and insurance.
Yeah. So then that's interesting. So then when you say you believe in debt for mortgages, and that's really all, would you even side with really should be looking at the 15 years mortgage or 30 is okay?
15-year only. 30 years is like, why be in debt 30 years? That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. I recommend getting a mortgage for 15 years, at least a 10 to 15%, a 10% down payment, and paying it off as soon as you can. Like, get out of debt ASAP. Because imagine if you didn't have a mortgage payment, car payment, student loan payment. If you had no payments at all, what could you do with your life? And who could you help in your life? So many people. So my point is to live debt free so that you can be able to be a blessing to your family and other people. I'm not saying that, oh, well, don't enjoy life. No, enjoy life, but do it in a way that is not a burden for you. Now, some people may say, all right, what if you want to, again, have a rental property or you want to buy a car, you can't afford to finance a car with cash. Yeah. I'm like, all right, we have two cars we bought with cash. I have never had a car payment ever in my life. Why? Because car payment, they suck. What I mean by that, they suck the life out of your pockets. They suck the life out of your bank accounts, right? Yeah. They take money out of your account. You better look good in that car, but the moment you drive out the lot, it goes down in value. That's true. That's true. The only thing cars hold are groceries and people. They don't hold their value.
I never heard it put that way, but that's true. I understand. I absolutely get that. Now, I got to ask you this because me, and I'm sure a lot of people, we have student loans. And we got the education to help us bring in the income to do some of the things that you're talking about. And sometimes student loan is inevitable, to go to some of these top schools, that will help you garner the higher wages. Sometimes you have to loan that money. What do you think about student loans? Is that acceptable?
Well, because I was fortunate, my parents didn't make a lot of money. I was able to get grants to go to school. But while I was in school, I worked. I didn't get money for free and didn't work. I worked my behind off while I was in school so that I can get out of school to make more money. I didn't get a handout just say, all right, yeah, I got a handout. No, I got grants. I got assistance because I was able to get it because, again, my background. But because I got that money, got the grants, I still worked. I still had a full-time job. When I got my first degree in welding to go to school. Okay. But I worked doing that. I worked a full-time job while going to school full-time too. So that's an option. You can work and go to school without going to student loans. If you do have a student loan, because most people probably go into student loan debt, I recommend getting out of debt ASAP. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to get out of school with a lot of debt. Oh, and then go get a car payment, which adds more debt. Oh, they want to go buy a house, add more debt. Oh, let me go buy this real property so I can go become wealthy and leave a legacy. But you got so much debt. It's like you're going to work, you hate your job, you hate what you do. You got to work to pay your bills. You got to work to pay off the debt. You
Yeah,
look good when you're
I've been
struggling
there.
financially. Oh, right. So I want to
Yeah.
encourage you, if you do have student loan debt, to get out of debt ASAP. Oh, I hope I wasn't unclear. Get out of debt ASAP.
That's pretty clear. You made it very clear how you feel about it. Now, what do you say to the person that, they didn't get that message when they were younger and they found themselves with the car payment and they have the house and maybe they do have a credit card or two and maybe there are other responsibilities. What do you say to that person to get them to where they can be debt free like you did?
I think most importantly, there has to be a want. Let me explain. You may need to get out of debt. They may need to stop smoking cigarettes. They may need to stop having a bad relationship with a husband or a wife. They may need to stop overspending. But if they don't have a first, they need to have to.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Your signal, your feed is breaking up just a little bit.
That's
I'm not.
hard. Oh my! I get it. I ain't gonna get it. Oh my goodness!
I think I lost Dakota.
You have
I
to
think
have
I
a
lost.
discern. All right, hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, can you see me?
I cannot. No, I lost you here.
All right. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you. So we can hear you.
All right. Let's see. My camera
While
in the
you were,
way.
yeah, I think you're back now. Yeah, I think you're coming back now. So there you go.
All right.
But, but
So
if not,
again,
oh, go ahead.
they must have a want, a heart change, and a mind change. Because for me, I used to borrow money. I had a credit card. But when I was heard about using cash, I was afraid to use cash completely because all I knew was a credit card. I mean, I didn't have any like a car payment, but still, I knew I could use a credit card, be fine. But using that cash completely, that was a whole different paradigm shift. The way I saw things. I'm like, let me try it. And you know what? I'm still alive today with no credit card. I still have a pulse, like I said earlier. So to answer your question, there must be a desire first and foremost to get out of debt and never to use it again, except for one reason, and that is a house. And that's it. A 15-year mortgage with a down payment of 10 to 20%, and the payment no more than 25% of your take-home payment. You want to be able to have that payment not be so big that it'll overwhelm you, and you may not be able to afford it.
This sounds like conversation you've had plenty of times with the people you coach. Sound like you had this conversation more than once. And
Well,
that's
honestly, the people I've coached have either needed a budget to get out of debt or needed savings. And
yeah,
honestly, when I post about being debt free on social media, especially Facebook,
yeah.
it's like people attack me because people love debt. I don't know what it is. It's like people love alcohol, right? For example, people love debt. I'm like, I don't get it.
Well, there's a certain euphoria, that comes with the things that debt brings. There's a euphoria about grabbing that new car instead of getting the used car. There's a joy, a happiness that people have, but you say the happiness is really short-lived because the bill is coming.
Exactly.
So I get your
Exactly.
point. I get your point, and I think it's well spoken, very well spoken. Now, a lot of times, of course, if anybody's just tuning in, this is Attorney Michael Hollins, and I'm a bankruptcy attorney, and I'm talking with a money coach, Dakota Grady. He's an author and a money coach, and he's given us his pointers on how we should think about debt and how we should consider it. And so just if anybody's tuning in, feel free to, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the Facebook chat, and we'll address it. But back to what you were saying, Dakota. So I have a lot of clients that find themselves in precarious situations. And I'll say it this way: life happens. Sometimes there's an illness, and in a country we live in, unfortunately, healthcare is not cheap. Sometimes with the pandemic, especially, people lose their jobs and they find themselves with a mountain of debt. And in other cases, sometimes, we just make bad decisions in life. One thing that I tell people, and I've shared this Facebook Live before, is that when I was in my 20s, I didn't have the tutelage and I didn't have the wisdom you had. And so I made a lot of financial mistakes in my 20s. And I tell you, Dakota, I paid for it in my 30s. So, in my 30s, I had to clean it up and I had to get my mind right and think more like what, you were thinking. And so then when I got to my 40s, I was able to do things kind of my way. So a lot of people fall in that category. We just didn't have the mentorship. We just didn't have the wisdom in our 20s. And so then we find ourselves needing what I call a fresh start. And so, sometimes the solution is bankruptcy for some of my clients. And sometimes the solution is, like you mentioned earlier, a budget, or maybe just downsizing. Sometimes the solution to our money problems is in our closet, because you can sell a lot of things in our closets and in our garage. And that really will be a nice nest egg to kind of help to start digging out of some of the debt that we get in. So when I begin to consult, you agree, yeah. So when I begin to consult people, we talk about all of these things. But if the decision is made that we're going to file bankruptcy, then there's a course that we kind of go through that says, here's how moving forward you should really think about debt and about money. And everything that you're saying here is really, really pinpoint, on point, on par with what the behaviors is you'd like to see when somebody has a fresh start, And so what you're saying is really on point. Can you share with us? Oh yeah.
Of course, for you. What percent
Okay.
of your clients go through BK, bankruptcy, and then they come back again?
Okay. I don't see that much at all.
Yeah.
I don't see that much. Really, only a select few. If that is something that's going to happen, the lesson wasn't learned. The habits we had in our 20s, we're continuing to exhibit those in our 30s, and
Yes.
and so that that happened. But I haven't had that constant repeat situation. Now, Title 11, the federal law says that you can only file Chapter 7 every 8 years from the filing. So you wouldn't see it a lot. It's not something that you would see a lot. But to your point, though, go ahead.
Can someone file Chapter 7 and then 13?
Yeah.
Right after that? Or is
Sure.
They can?
Yeah, and vice versa. You can file a 13 and then a 7. Yes, you absolutely can do that. In the business, we call that Chapter 20, because this is 13.
Yeah.
It's not a real Chapter 20, but
yes.
That's what we call it. And
so
there are.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are reasons for that. There are reasons for it. But the number one reason that would happen is where somebody has an asset that they want to hold on to. It's the house, and so we're behind on the house. I want to keep it. And so Chapter 13 allows you to pay your arrears and get caught up and make payments until you get caught up. If you're in the middle of that plan and then a pandemic hits, or if a pandemic in your life hits, circumstances say, I can't continue to make that payment, well, then we got to go right into a 7, and we would just dispel all the debt that we could at that point.
So
So
basically, chapter 7 is basically liquidation, correct? Sell assets and
yeah,
distribute the cash.
yeah. Chapter 7 is really where you're just, from a client standpoint or from a debtor standpoint, you are really just discharging all of your debt as much as possible, with some caveats, taxes, child support. Those things can't be discharged. But outside of that, the goal is to just discharge debt and then contact Dakota Grady so that I can get on a budget that makes sure that I go where I gotta go and think
Yes.
how I need to think.
So tell me, what percent of your clients file Chapter 11, which is basically a reorganization for a business?
Yeah, so that's a small business reorganization. That is a small percentage, but now with pandemic, that is becoming a larger percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It is what you would call a business chapter 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's where, again, a small business is uh, kind of reorganizing, like a 13, I guess. But so it's becoming more popular now more than ever.
Mm-hmm. For
So much
sure.
to the point where Congress has actually, and this is not our viewership, a very small amount of people would probably want to know about this, but Congress has actually, done some things with the Chapter 11 for small businesses so that you can reorganize and stay open. And that's
Wow.
new. A lot of times, yeah, small businesses through what we call a sub 5 Chapter 11, they can now
Mm-hmm.
stay open and continue to thrive as a business, and that's relatively new within the last year. So
Oh, wow.
thank you for asking that question. I was glad to bring that out. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I'm just looking at your shirt, just to digress a little bit. The You Matter movement. Can you explain to our viewership what that is?
Yes. Actually, I had the opportunity to volunteer. Shout out to From Your Father. It's a nonprofit in Nashville, Tennessee, basically focusing mainly on single moms in the area, serving their needs. So I met Michael physically there at the event about a month or so ago, I believe,
I
in
believe
Nashville,
so. Yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah,
We volunteered at a church in Nashville, Tennessee, helping with the You Matters. Basically, this particular event was focusing on Black males, letting Black males know that they matter because we all know what's happening in our world with racism. Of course, we're both Black men here, so they were focusing on letting Black men know that they really matter. So today, I got my shirt on. I wasn't
yeah.
gonna put on my dress coat, but I just said I'll just be just chill today.
Yeah, when you talking to me, you don't never have to wear a coat and tie. No, we gonna hang out, man. We just gonna hang out and talk. Yeah. So yeah, so we did meet at that event. Now I just want to segue back into something you just said about Black men. We know what's going on. Have you found any disparities when you coach minority clients versus when you coach non-minority? Are there some aspects to things that you have to maybe say, or some things you have to, kind of coach us to do a little different? Or is money green and it don't matter who have it? You know,
When it's green, doesn't matter. I think
I didn't think so.
I mostly coach minorities though. I think people gravitate people who look like them more. I think, and
Okay.
I mean, I've only had like one Caucasian couple out of all people I've coached. But again, money's green.
Yeah.
Same steps apply whether you're black, white, orange, yellow, blue. Money's money. The steps don't change. I
Yeah.
had a guy tell me, I mean, basically like he heard about a program, and he said basically it had to be the program he went through. It didn't work for black people. I'm like, that's not true because I went through the same program and it worked for me.
Yeah.
So if you have a plan, follow the plan. If you don't
Yeah.
follow the plan, it won't work. But if you have the
Yeah.
plan in place, which I'll give you, people want to get help. I got the plan. Black, white, Hispanic, orange, green, yellow, blue. If you need help with money, come and talk to me. I'm here to help you. and I'll give you the plan. It's your job to follow the plan. I'm a coach. If I'm a coach, I'll put you in the game, but you got to execute the plan that I'm going to give you.
Yeah, that's really good. Sometimes I think we don't think that financial success is intentional. I think that is really, really key what you said. Financial success and debt relief, it really is intentional. It's almost overthinking every time you spend, and then it'll become natural to think that way. And you said something earlier, I'll piggyback on. When you went from a kind of a credit, using credit to using cash, it is a little tougher to spend the cash when it comes out your pocket. It's a little tougher to watch the money, the account numbers go down versus swiping that card, because the account stays at the same until the bill comes.
Exactly.
And so paying the bill is like a quick hit, like, oh, but when you have to when you have to watch that account every day go down, that's like a slow death, like a death by 1,000 cuts.
I agree.
So
the thing is, it's quick though. It doesn't last. So, for example, you got a car payment, 5 years, for example. You're paying $530. Well, I'm gonna round it down, $500 a month. I think experience said the average car payment is $530, but I'm gonna round it down, keep it simple. Paying for 12 months times $500, which is $6,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
Times 5 years, $30,000 on a vehicle that's not included in interest. However, what if you saved up maybe $20,000, right? Instead of paying $530 or $500 a month, you save $500 a month. Once you get $20,000, go to the dealership and say, I want that vehicle right now. I got cash. You either give it to me now or I'll walk away. Give me a deal. That's simple. When you pay for that car with cash, there's no payments. Like, there's no payments, right? Let me say it one more time. There's no payments.
That's true.
Right? But over time,
so then it's like, kind of
5 years of payments.
Yeah.
And interest too. And the value going down. And you got car insurance and maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It gets pricey. It's kind of like the moral of your story is that there's going to be a season of sacrifice, but it's going to bring a lifetime of reward. And that's true when it comes to education. There's 4 years of sacrifice, and it'll bring you a lifetime of reward. That's true with relationships, because they kind of start off rocky for sometime 5, 6, 7 years, but then a lifetime of reward with your spouse. That same message is true. That wisdom is true with regard to our spending. There's going to be a season where you gotta get there best way you can until you can get the vehicle that you're going to pay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really good. That's really good.
And I think the best way to get to where you want to get to is having a money plan.
Okay.
People don't like the word budget, a money plan, because a money plan is simply a plan for your money. So if you have a plan to get out of debt, the fastest way to get out of debt is put it on your money plan. It'll help you to put that as a priority for you.
So I know we said we were going to talk for 30 minutes. I feel like we could talk for 30 more, but we coming up on on 30 minutes here. I'm looking at the clock. So where can people contact you? What's the best way? Where can they find you at?
You can find me on Facebook at Dakota Grady. You can also find me on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. My website is dakotagrady.com. Check it out. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. It comes out every month. I want to help you to maximize your money so you can create the life that you want. That's right, you, talking to you. Thank you for the opportunity, Michael. I also want to talk about my podcast, the Your Money Hour podcast, launched about 3 weeks ago. I'm going to try to do a talk every Tuesday about personal finance, life, and business, because those things I'm very passionate about. Well, check it out on Spotify. And again, thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to talk about this important subject of debt.
Absolutely, man. Hey, it was my pleasure to have you. I gotta have you back, or we're gonna do it on your page because we got a lot more to talk about as things happen. Hey, but I just want to encourage everybody to give Dakota a call. He does know what he's talking about, and I knew that before he and I actually began to talk more about money because I listened to his podcast, and the podcast is a wonderful tool. It's a gem. I'm encouraging you to keep going with that podcast. That podcast
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. So
Thank
everybody
you. Appreciate
should,
that.
yes, everybody should, from the first podcast, the first 15, 20 minutes, Dakota's giving you some real insight into who he is and how that has made him the guy that you see in front of you, the guy that's debt free and spending cash and not credit. And so I would encourage everybody again to go to his website, dakotagrady.com. Of course, I'm Michael Hollins, Hollins Bankruptcy Law Office. You guys are on my Facebook page or my YouTube page now. Again, Dakota, thank you for hanging out with me, man. We got to do it again. And I'll sign off like this. If you come to see me and you get a fresh start, the next call should be Dakota Grady on how to keep it moving in the right direction. And I'll just say it like that. All
Thank you
right.
for that shout out, Michael. And thank you for your time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Everybody be safe, and I'll talk to you, Dakota.
All right, bye-bye.